Hey guys, I hope y'all are staying safe and doing well during this quarantine time that we're having. I am actually here to talk about the fifth word or phrase that Jesus said before he died. And I actually did some of my own research into what he said and what it kind of means, and some ways that we could actually look forward to and stay positive during this time of quarantine. So I first actually looked up in scripture the whole scripture that was said during this time, which was, "After this, aware that everything was now finished, in order that the scripture might be fulfilled, Jesus said, I thirst." And with that, I actually turned to Google, and when I went to Google, one of the things that it said that was being talked about during this was the word distress. And for me personally, I feel like most of us, like faithful or not, we can relate to being distressed right now, like especially in this situation. Because with that, I actually looked up what distress meant, and it means extreme anxiety, sorrow, and pain. So I feel like a lot of us during this time are going through that, especially me, because like now that we're like officially quarantined or locked down, for me it's really hard and challenging, because for me it's like I want to be going to church, I want to be going to mass, I want to be helping out with my youth group, and I just want to be like hanging out with friends and family, but right now we can't do that. And for me that's been very hard, and it's been giving me a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. But with that being said, I'm actually trying to do several things to help keep myself positive and also in my faith during this time. Some of the things that I've been doing is listening to music, especially when it comes to like praise and worship music. And actually one of the songs that I actually was listening to recently is called The Desert Song, and it's a perfect time for Lent to have that song, but also now that we're in quarantine, I feel like it's also a good song. So if you have the time, you might want to listen to that song and other praise and worship music, so that hopefully you can stay positive during this time. Another thing that I've been doing is I've been watching one of my friends on Facebook. He's been doing these like daily reflections and or devotionals, and I really like and appreciate that he's doing that. And for me, it really gets me thinking about how to be a more positive and faithful person, especially during this time. Another thing I've been doing is reading and journaling, and that was actually one of my goals for Lent, was to actually educate myself more with my faith, and to see if I could get myself through one kind of like faithful or religious book, which I accomplished, and I'm proud of myself and I'm happy for it, but it also kept me positively thinking. Another thing that is done either through social media or on TV, I know this one channel, EWTN, they have been doing Mass, the Rosary, adoration, and a whole other bunch of stuff. So it's like, if you need to stay positive, go onto social media, go onto the TV, and just go to a faithful channel that can hopefully lift your spirits during this time. Another one or two things that can be done is prayer. And I'm not saying, oh, like, it has to be this silent and quiet time, because for me, honestly, like, the other day, my youth group did a virtual rosary. So yeah, we were praying, but my mind, like, that's how I start thinking about other stuff, is by when I'm doing stuff like the rosary or watching these daily reflections. I don't know why, but that's when I start thinking. It could be my ADD, I don't know. But prayer, even if you're like doing the rosary virtually, or even if you're listening to praise and worship, still, for me personally, that can bring a positive outlook, especially in a time like this. The last thing I am going to bring up is that I know my church is doing this, but several times a week we are virtually going on Zoom, and we're finding new ways to do Sunday night, like Sunday school and Bible study, and we're also doing the rosary once a week. So just finding ways to keep yourself faithful and holy, especially during this hard and weird time. Last but not least, and yet again, I know this is going to have to be kind of like through like the television or your cell phone, but spending some time in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And I know that might be hard and challenging because we're in quarantine, and for me personally, I feel like it doesn't have to be the actual Blessed Sacrament, because I know for me, I actually have a cross in my room. So I feel like even just spending some time, for me, like in front of that cross, can help me have a more positive outlook on what's going on and keep me in my faith. So those are some ways personally that I kind of have found like positive ways to look on at this time while we're in quarantine. And with that being said, I know this might be a weird ending, but with that being said, I hope y'all stay safe, have as good of a Holy Week and Easter as you can, and while we're in this time of quarantine, maybe you can try one of the ways that I've suggested to have a more positive outlook and to stay with your faith. Honestly, y'all are in my thoughts and in my prayers, and I hope y'all stay safe through this challenging time. And with that being said, hopefully this gave you a better outlook on the phrase "I thirst." And so, with that being said, God bless, peace out, see ya.